Hyunwoo stood at the observation window and watched the stars. He had dreamed of this moment his whole life. Earth's first real invitation to the Galactic Assembly. Not as guests, not as curiosities, but as potential members. "Stop looking so nervous," Ji-woo said beside him. She adjusted her uniform and checked her sidearm for the third time. "We belong here just as much as anyone else." Hyunwoo smiled at his partner. Ji-woo always had confidence for both of them. She had been his security detail for 2 years now, but somewhere along the way they had become friends. "I'm not nervous. I'm excited." The ESS Harmony shuddered slightly as it docked with the Grand Assembly Station. Through the window, Hyunwoo could see the massive structure. It was beautiful. Rings of metal and crystal spun slowly in the darkness of space, and lights glowed from 1,000 windows. This was where 47 different alien species met to discuss the future of the galaxy. And now, finally, humans were here too. The docking process took 20 minutes. Hyunwoo used the time to review his notes. He had studied every species in the assembly for months. He knew their customs, their biology, their histories. As a xenobiologist before becoming a diplomat, he understood that knowing how others lived was the key to peaceful contact. "Docking complete," the ship's computer announced. "Welcome to Terminus Prime Station." The airlock opened with a hiss. Beyond it stood 3 aliens waiting to greet them. Hyunwoo recognized them immediately from his studies. The first was Ambassador Velthar, an insectoid from the Hive Worlds. She stood on 4 legs, with 2 arms folded across her chitinous chest. Her compound eyes reflected the light in strange patterns. She looked at the humans the way someone might look at children playing dress-up. "Welcome, humans," Velthar said through her translator. The device made her clicking sounds into words. "We are pleased you could observe our proceedings." Observe, not participate. Hyunwoo noticed the word choice but kept his smile friendly. "Thank you, Ambassador. We are honored to be here." The second alien was Council Prime Thess, the leader of the assembly. She was avian, covered in blue and silver feathers. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Your quarters have been prepared," she said. "The opening ceremonies begin in 3 hours. Please, make yourselves comfortable." The third alien, a reptilian security officer named Krath, said nothing. He simply watched the humans with cold eyes, as if measuring them for threats. Ji-woo and Hyunwoo were escorted through the station. Everywhere they looked, they saw wonders. Aliens of every shape and size moved through the corridors. Some walked, some floated, some skittered on multiple legs. The walls showed images of distant worlds. The air smelled strange but not unpleasant, filtered and recycled to suit dozens of different biologies. Their quarters were small but functional, 2 rooms connected by a common area. The furniture adjusted itself to human proportions when they entered. 3 hours, Ji-woo said, dropping her bags. "Want to explore?" "Absolutely." They walked through the public areas of the station, drawing stares wherever they went. Some aliens nodded politely. Others whispered to each other. Their translators turned off. Hyunwoo heard fragments of other conversations, words like primitive and young species and cute. He didn't let it bother him. Humans were the newcomers here. They had to prove themselves worthy. The opening ceremony was held in a massive chamber at the station's core. Thousands of aliens filled the tiered seating. Hyunwoo and Ji-woo were shown to a platform marked for observers. Not guests, not delegates. Observers. Council Prime Thess stood at the center and spread her wings. "Welcome to the Century Exhibition," she announced. Her voice was translated into 47 languages simultaneously. "Every 100 years we gather to celebrate our achievements and share our knowledge. This year we also welcome observers from Earth." A polite smattering of applause. Some aliens didn't bother clapping at all. The ceremony continued with speeches and presentations. Hyunwoo tried to pay attention, but his mind kept wandering. Then something caught his eye. Along the walls of the chamber, massive containment units were being wheeled in. Inside each one was a creature. Alien animals from different worlds, kept behind energy fields that glowed blue and hummed with power. The guardian beasts, Ambassador Velthar explained, noticing his interest. She had moved to stand near the human observers. Each species brings the most magnificent creature from their homeworld, a display of our ability to master nature. Hyunwoo studied the creatures. A massive thing with 6 heads, something that looked like living crystal. A creature made entirely of shadows and teeth. Each one was sedated or restrained. Each one looked miserable. Then the final container rolled past, and every alien in the chamber stepped back. "What is that?" Jiwoo whispered. The creature inside was huge, easily 12 feet tall even though it was lying down. Its body was covered in black armor plates that seemed to shift and move. 6 limbs ended in claws that could tear through steel. Its head had no eyes, just rows of sensory organs that glowed faintly red. "That," Velthar said, and for the first time her voice held something like fear, "is a Void Hunter from Kalith 9, the apex predator of apex predators, the most dangerous creature in known space." Other aliens nearby murmured agreement. Some actually moved farther away from the containment unit. "It's beautiful," Hyunwoo said softly. Velthar's antennae twitched in confusion. "It is deadly." Those things aren't mutually exclusive. As the containment units were arranged around the chamber, Hyunwoo found himself drawn to the Void Hunter's prison. He moved closer, ignoring Jiwoo's warning hand on his arm. The creature was sleeping, its breathing slow and steady. Chemical sedation, he guessed. And those restraints looked painful. He stood at the barrier and watched it. Around him, aliens gave the container a wide berth. Then, just for a moment, the Void Hunter's head moved. One of its sensory organs focused on Hyunwoo. The human felt something pass between them. Not words, not thoughts. Just a sense of recognition. 2 beings seeing each other across an impossible divide. The moment passed. The creature settled back into its drugged sleep. "Come on," Jiwoo said, pulling him away. "The ceremony is continuing." But Hyunwoo kept looking back at the Void Hunter. Something about it called to him. He had spent his life studying alien life, learning how different species thought and felt and lived. And in that brief moment of connection, he had seen something in the creature's response. Not a monster. Not a weapon. A frightened, lonely animal, far from home and surrounded by beings who feared it. The ceremony ended with more speeches about the glory of the assembly and the wonders they would share during the exhibition. Hyunwoo barely heard them. His mind was still on the Void Hunter. As they returned to their quarters that night, Jiwoo asked, "What are you thinking about?" "That creature," Hyunwoo said. "The Void Hunter. Did you see how they treat it? It's dangerous." "Maybe. Or maybe it's just scared." Jiwoo shook her head. "You and your soft heart. We're here to observe and learn, remember? Not to adopt every alien pet we see." Hyunwoo laughed, but the thought stayed with him. Tomorrow the exhibition would begin. All the species would show off their greatest achievements. And somewhere in this station, a magnificent creature sat alone in a cage, feared by everyone who saw it. He fell asleep thinking about those glowing sensory organs and the moment of connection he had felt. Tomorrow would be interesting. 3 days passed in a blur of presentations and demonstrations. Hyunwoo watched as species after species showed off their achievements. The crystalline collective demonstrated perfect energy transfer. The machine concordate revealed computing systems that operated faster than light. The hive worlds presented biological engineering that could terraform planets in decades instead of centuries. It was impressive. All of it. But Hyunwoo couldn't stop thinking about the creatures locked in their containment units. "You're distracted," Jiwoo said during a break between presentations. They stood in one of the station's viewing galleries looking out at the stars. "Just thinking. About the animals." It wasn't a question. Jiwoo knew him too well. "They're terrified," Hyunwoo said. "Every single one of them. These aliens have all this technology, all this knowledge, but they still treat their own planet's creatures like threats to be controlled." "Maybe that's how they survived long enough to develop technology," Jiwoo suggested. "Earth was different. We made friends with wolves and horses. But maybe other worlds didn't have that option. Hyunwoo considered this. It was possible. Earth had been uniquely suited for domestication. So many predators, so many prey species, all living close enough to humans that bonds could form? Maybe the assembly species had evolved on worlds where such connections were impossible. Or maybe they had just never tried. The announcement chimed through the station. All guests please return to the main arena. The final presentations will begin shortly. The main arena was packed. Thousands of aliens filled every seat. Energy crackled in the air from excitement and anticipation. Today was the grand finale, when the most powerful species would demonstrate their complete mastery over nature itself. Hyunwoo and Jiwoo took their positions on the observation platform. Down below, the arena floor had been cleared. Massive energy barriers had been erected, creating a cage within the larger space. Ladies and gentlemen of the assembly, Council Prime Thess announced, today you will witness the ultimate demonstration of advancement. Complete control over the most dangerous creatures in our respective worlds. The first demonstration was impressive. A crystalline being stood in the arena while a massive, six-headed serpent was released. The creature lunged, but the alien's technology stopped it cold. Neural inhibitors fired, and the serpent froze in place, completely helpless. The crowd cheered. More demonstrations followed. Each one showed total dominance. Creatures that could tear ships apart, reduced to puppets dancing on invisible strings. The aliens in the audience loved it. They saw it as proof of their superiority. Hyunwoo felt sick. Then Sentinel Krath stepped into the arena, the reptilian security chief that had greeted them on their first day. He stood tall and proud, his scales gleaming under the lights. And now, he announced, I will demonstrate our control over the Void Hunter of Kalith 9, the creature that has terrorized the dark side of that world for millions of years. Watch as technology triumphs over nature's deadliest creation. The containment unit was wheeled in. Inside, the Void Hunter lay motionless, covered in restraints and neural inhibitors. Dozens of them, attached to every part of its body. Lights blinked on the devices, showing they were active. This is wrong, Hyunwoo whispered. Jiwoo put a hand on his arm. There's nothing we can do. We're just observers. Remember? The containment field dropped. Krath stood confidently, holding a control device. The neural inhibitors give us complete control, he said. The creature cannot move without my permission. It cannot think without my allowance. It is merely a tool, demonstrating our power over... One of the inhibitors sparked. Then another. The Void Hunter's armor plates shifted slightly. Krath frowned and looked at his control device. Minor malfunction. Nothing to be concerned about. Every inhibitor failed simultaneously. The Void Hunter surged to its feet with a roar that shook the arena. The sound was like nothing Hyunwoo had ever heard. Rage, pain, terror, all mixed into one horrible cry. Krath didn't even have time to run. The Void Hunter's claw swept out and sent him flying across the arena. He hit the wall with a sickening crunch. Chaos erupted. The Void Hunter moved like lightning. Its 6 limbs carried it across the arena floor faster than anything that size should be able to move. Security forces opened fire, but their energy weapons bounced off its adaptive armor. The plates shifted and changed, absorbing or deflecting every shot. Aliens screamed and ran for the exits. The arena became a stampede of panicking beings, all trying to escape at once. We need to go, Jiwoo shouted, pulling at Hyunwoo's arm. But Hyunwoo wasn't looking at the exits. He was watching the Void Hunter. It had killed 3 security guards and injured dozens more, but now it had stopped. It stood in the center of the arena, surrounded by weapons pointed at it from every direction. Its sensory organs swept back and forth, taking in threats from all sides. It's cornered, Hyunwoo said. It's not hunting. Look at its posture, the way it's moving. It's defending itself. It just killed people. Because it's terrified. They sedated it, hurt it, tried to control its mind. Now it's surrounded by beings who only see it as a monster. It's fighting for its life. More security forces poured into the arena. Heavy weapons were being brought in. Hyunwoo heard someone shout about containment protocols and lethal force authorization. They were going to kill it. The Void Hunter roared again, but this time Hunwoo heard the difference. Not rage, fear. The creature was scared, lashing out at everything because it didn't know what else to do. Just like a frightened dog might bite. Just like a cornered cat might scratch. Defense, not malice. I have to help it, Hyunwoo said. Jiwoo stared at him. What? Hyunwoo, no, that thing will kill you in seconds. Only if it sees me as a threat. He was already moving toward the stairs that led down to the arena floor. Hyunwoo, Jiwoo grabbed his shoulder and spun him around. Listen to me. I know you care about animals. I know you want to help. But that is not some lost puppy. That is the most dangerous predator in the known galaxy. You cannot save it. I have to try. Why? Hyunwoo met her eyes. Because no one else will. Because everyone looks at it and sees a monster. But I see what we looked at 40,000 years ago when we first met wolves. A frightened animal that just needs someone to show it kindness. Wolves didn't have armor plating and claws that can cut through steel. No. But they had teeth and hunted in packs and killed our ancestors for food. And we still made friends with them. Hyunwoo smiled sadly. This is what we do, Jiwoo. This is what makes us human. We see the person, the being, the soul underneath the scary outside. We always have. Jiwoo closed her eyes. I can't watch you die. Then close your eyes. He pulled away from her and ran down the stairs. Behind him, he heard Jiwoo shouting his name. Around him, aliens were screaming warnings in a dozen languages. Their translators all said the same thing. Stop. Don't. You'll die. Hyunwoo vaulted over the safety barrier and dropped into the arena. The Void Hunter's head snapped toward him immediately. Every single sensory organ focused on this new presence, this small, soft creature walking toward certain death. Easy, Hyunwoo said softly. He didn't use his translator. The words didn't matter. Only his tone. Easy there. Nobody's going to hurt you anymore. He kept walking. Slowly. Hands visible and empty. No weapons, no threats. Just a human being approaching an apex predator with nothing but hope and compassion. The Void Hunter tilted its head. Its armor plates shifted to a more aggressive configuration. It lowered itself slightly, preparing to strike. Hyunwoo stopped at 15 meters and slowly sat down on the arena floor. He made himself small, non-threatening. He had done this 1,000 times on Earth with frightened animals. The principle was universal. Don't tower over them. Don't make them feel trapped. Give them space and choice. It's okay, he said in that same calm voice. You're safe now. I promise. The Void Hunter took a step toward him, then another. Its claws scraped against the arena floor. Its sensory organs swept over him, analyzing everything about him. Bioelectric signature, heat, movement, chemical composition, finding nothing threatening. The creature moved closer, 3 meters away, then 2. Then it was right in front of him, this massive predator that could end his life with a single swipe. Hyunwoo slowly raised his hand, palm down. The universal gesture of peace that humans had used for millennia. The Void Hunter leaned down. Its head moved closer to his hand. Armor plates shifted and rearranged. And then Hyunwoo felt it. The cool, smooth texture of alien skin beneath his palm. The Void Hunter had allowed him to touch it. He began to pet it gently, stroking the area around its sensory organs. The creature rumbled. A deep, vibrating sound that wasn't a growl. It was closer to a purr. The entire arena had gone silent. Thousands of aliens watched in complete shock as a human did the impossible. Hyunwoo looked up at the observation platforms. At Jiwoo, who had tears streaming down her face. At Ambassador Velthar, whose antennae had gone completely still. At Council Prime Thess, whose eyes were wider than should be possible. Someone get its restraints off, Hyunwoo called out. They're hurting it. The Void Hunter settled down beside him, that rumbling purr continuing. And Hyunwoo kept petting it while the galaxy watched and tried to understand what they were seeing. The medical center was quiet, except for the steady beeping of monitors and the low rumbling purr of the Void Hunter. Hyunwoo sat on a medical bed while Dr. Sora examined him through a video link from the ESS Harmony. "You don't have a scratch on you," the doctor said, shaking her head in disbelief. "Do you understand how lucky you are?" "It wasn't luck," Hyunwoo said. He reached out and stroked the Void Hunter's head. The creature had refused to leave his side for the past 6 hours. Every time someone tried to approach, it became aggressive. Only Hyunwoo could calm it. Jiwoo stood guard nearby, though she wasn't sure anymore if she was protecting Hyunwoo from the creature or the creature from everyone else. "Earth Command wants a full report," she said. "They're calling you everything from a hero to a fool." "Both are probably accurate," Hyunwoo admitted. The door to the medical center opened. Ambassador Velthar entered, moving carefully. The Void Hunter's sensory organs tracked her movement, but it didn't react aggressively. It seemed to understand that Hyunwoo was safe here. "The Council has convened an emergency session," Velthar said. "They wish to speak with you. About what happened. About everything." The insectoid's antennae twitched in a way Hyunwoo had learned meant confusion. "You have done something we thought impossible. The Council needs to understand how." An hour later, Hyunwoo stood before the full Galactic Assembly Council. Jiwoo was beside him, and behind them both, the Void Hunter followed like a massive shadow. The council members sat in their elevated positions, looking down at the humans. Council Prime Thess spoke first. "Human Hyunwoo, what you did today defies everything we know about interspecies interaction. Void Hunters have killed hundreds of beings. They are universally recognized as impossible to approach. Yet you walked up to one and petted it." "Yes, ma'am." "How?" Hyunwoo thought about how to explain it. "On Earth, we have a long history with predators. 40,000 years ago, we met wolves. They were apex predators, just like the Void Hunter. They hunted us, killed us. But we also saw something else in them. We saw intelligence, emotion, the capacity for trust." "Wolves are not Void Hunters," Sentinel Krath growled from his medical bed. He had survived his injuries but was badly hurt. "No," Hyunwoo agreed. "But the principle is the same. Every creature, no matter how dangerous, is still a living being. They feel fear, pain, loneliness. If you approach them with violence and control, they respond with violence. But if you approach with patience and respect, sometimes they respond differently." Ambassador Velthar leaned forward. "We have studied your species since you sent your first radio signals into space. Your planet is a death world by our standards. So many predators, so much danger. How did you survive?" "By making friends with the danger," Jiwoo said. She stepped forward to stand beside Hyunwoo. "We domesticated wolves into dogs, wild cats into house pets. We rode horses and used oxen to plow fields. We even kept apex predators like bears and big cats in our homes sometimes. It's what we do." "It's madness," Krath said. "Maybe," Hyunwoo replied, "but it's also why I'm still alive and the Void Hunter is calm instead of rampaging through your station." Silence fell over the council chamber. Then a new voice spoke. Researcher Quill, a mammalian scientist that Hyunwoo hadn't met before. "I have been studying the recordings of your interaction. Your brain activity during the approach showed unusual patterns. High activity in empathy centers. You were actively imagining the creature's emotional state." "Yes," Hyunwoo said. "That's how you understand what an animal needs. You put yourself in their place. You think about how they're feeling." "We call that anthropomorphizing," Velthar said. "Projecting human emotions onto non-human beings. It is considered a logical fallacy." "On Earth, we call it empathy," Jiwoo countered. "And it works." Researcher Quill brought up holographic displays showing brain scans. "Humans appear to have an unusual capacity for this. Your evolutionary history involved cooperation not just within your species but across species. This may have created neural pathways that allow you to bond with creatures that other species would only see as threats." Council Prime. Thess spread her wings. "If this is true, it means humans possess a form of intelligence we do not. Not technological, not computational, but social and emotional. We never valued such things," Velthar admitted. "We measured advancement by control over nature. by the ability to dominate and reshape our environments. The idea of partnering with nature instead of conquering it, we never considered it. A new voice joined the conversation via communication link. Tai Min, a cultural specialist from Earth. Humans have been doing this for our entire existence, he said. We see patterns in everything. We find faces in clouds. We name our vehicles. We talk to plants. It might seem silly to you, but it's how we're wired. We connect. And this allows you to approach deadly predators safely? Thess asked. Not always, Hyunwoo said honestly. Sometimes animals are too frightened or hurt to trust. Sometimes they attack anyway. But more often than you'd think, they respond to kindness. They recognize when someone isn't trying to hurt them. He gestured to the Void Hunter, which had settled on the floor beside him. This creature was sedated, restrained, and hurt. Everyone it met was terrified of it. It didn't trust anyone because no one gave it a reason to trust. I showed it that I wasn't a threat, that I wouldn't hurt it, and it chose to accept that. Chose, Velthar repeated. You gave it a choice. Of course, that's the whole point. You can't force trust. You can only offer it and hope it's accepted. Researcher Quill was frantically taking notes. This changes everything. If creatures can be approached through empathy rather than control, the applications are endless, Thess finished. She looked at the assembled council. How many worlds in the assembly have dangerous fauna that we simply destroy or avoid? Nearly all of them, another council member said. And what if we didn't have to? What if we could learn from the humans and find ways to coexist instead? The council chamber erupted into discussion. Some members were excited. Others were skeptical. A few seemed frightened of the idea. Hyunwoo waited patiently. Beside him, the Void Hunter rumbled contentedly. Jiwoo whispered, I think you just changed the galaxy. I just petted a scared animal, Hyunwoo whispered back. Council Prime Thess called for order. When the chamber quieted, she looked directly at Hyunwoo. The Assembly has a proposal. We wish to establish a program to study human methods of interspecies bonding. We want to learn from you. Would Earth be willing to teach us? Hyunwoo glanced at Jiwoo, who shrugged. Then he looked at the video link where Taimin and Dr. Sora were watching. They both nodded. Earth would be honored, Hyunwoo said. But I have some conditions. Thess's feathers ruffled in surprise. Conditions. First, all creatures in the exhibition need better care. Bigger enclosures. No sedation unless medically necessary. No painful restraints. They deserve to be treated with dignity. Agreed. Second, any training program we develop has to focus on the well-being of the animals, not just controlling them. The goal is partnership, not domination. Understood? And third, Hyunwoo stroked the Void Hunter's head. This one stays with me. No more cages. No more experiments. It's been through enough. The council members looked at each other. Finally, Thess nodded. The Void Hunter is yours, human Hyunwoo, though I hope you have a plan for where it will live. I'll figure something out. Jiwoo groaned. We're going to need a bigger ship. The council session ended with an official declaration. Humanity was granted full membership in the Galactic Assembly, along with a special advisory position on all matters related to fauna management and interspecies relations. It was unprecedented. Humans had gone from observers to full members in less than a week, all because one man had shown compassion to a frightened creature. As they left the council chamber, Ambassador Velthar approached them. I owe you an apology, she said. When you arrived, I thought humans were primitive, simple. I was wrong. You weren't entirely wrong, Hyunwoo said kindly. We are simple in a lot of ways. We just happen to be simple in a way that helps instead of hurts. Will you truly teach us? Show us how to do what you do? If you're willing to learn. But I have to warn you, it's not easy. It requires patience, empathy, the ability to put aside fear and reach out in friendship. Velthar's antennae quivered. My people kept the creatures of our world at bay with walls and weapons for thousands of years. We never thought there might be another way. There's always another way, Jiwoo said. You just have to be brave enough to try it. As they walked back to their quarters, the Void Hunter following behind them like a loyal pet, Hyunwoo felt a sense of hope. The galaxy was huge and full of wonders, but also full of fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the different. Fear of things that seemed dangerous. Maybe humans could teach the assembly something valuable after all. Not about technology or weapons or control, but about connection, understanding. The simple truth that sometimes the scariest things just needed someone to show them kindness. "What are you going to name it?" Jiwoo asked, gesturing to the Void Hunter. Hyunwoo thought about it. "How about Grim? After the fairy tales? Yeah, something that seems scary at first but has depth and meaning when you look closer." The Void Hunter rumbled approvingly. Or at least, Hyunwoo chose to interpret it that way. And really, that was the whole point. 2 weeks had passed since the incident in the arena. The assembly had moved quickly to establish the Cross-Species Relations Institute, and now Hyunwoo found himself leading a team of researchers and trainers from multiple worlds. The institute was housed in a newly constructed wing of the station. Large enclosures had been built for different creatures, each designed to mimic their natural habitats. No more cages, no more restraints. Just safe, comfortable spaces where animals could live while humans taught aliens how to interact with them. Jiwoo had officially resigned from security work to become a full-time trainer. She stood in the main enclosure now, working with Grim, while a group of alien students watched from behind a transparent barrier. "The key is body language," she explained. "Watch how Grim's armor plates are positioned. Flat means calm, raised means alert, angled forward means aggressive. You have to read these signals before you can respond appropriately." Grim demonstrated by shifting through different postures. The Void Hunter had become surprisingly cooperative, seeming to enjoy the attention and purpose. One of the students, a young reptilian named Dae-jung, raised his hand. "But what if we can't read the signals fast enough? What if we make a mistake?" "Then you back off," Jiwoo said simply. "You give the animal space. You try again later. Forcing an interaction is what causes problems. Patience is everything." In another part of the institute, Hyunwoo sat with Ambassador Velthar and researcher Quill. They were reviewing data from the first week of training sessions. "The results are remarkable," Quill said, manipulating holographic charts. "Species that have feared their native fauna for generations are now successfully interacting with them. The Crystalline Collective has begun rehabilitation programs for creatures they previously exterminated on site." "It's a good start," Hyunwoo said. "But we need to manage expectations. Not every species will be suitable for this kind of interaction. Some creatures are genuinely too dangerous or too different to bond with. The goal isn't to turn everything into a pet." "Then what is the goal?" Velthar asked. Hyunwoo thought about it. "Understanding, coexistence, learning to share space with other living things without needing to dominate them. On Earth, we don't domesticate sharks or bears or lions, but we study them, protect them, appreciate them. That's what I want the assembly to learn." A chime sounded. Jin, one of the human trainers recently arrived from Earth, appeared on the communication screen. "Hyunwoo, we have a situation in Enclosure 7. One of the Hive World creatures is showing distress behaviors. Can you come take a look?" "On my way." Enclosure 7 housed a massive insectoid creature from Velthar's homeworld. It looked like a combination of a mantis and a scorpion, with razor-sharp forelimbs and a venomous tail. The Hive Worlds had hunted these creatures to near extinction because they destroyed crops and killed workers. But when Hyunwoo arrived, he saw something different. The creature was huddled in a corner of the enclosure, its body language showing clear signs of distress. "What happened?" he asked Jin. "We're not sure. It was fine this morning. Then about an hour ago it started acting strange. Pacing, scratching at the walls. Now this." Hyunwoo studied the creature through the observation window. "Has anyone checked if it's injured?" "The scanners show nothing wrong physically." Velthar had followed Hyunwoo to the enclosure. She looked at her homeworld's creature with complicated emotions on her face. "My people would have killed it on sight," she said quietly. "We never thought to ask what it might need." "Let me try something," Hyunwoo said. He entered the enclosure slowly, hands visible. The creature's head swiveled toward him. forelimbs raising in a defensive posture. "Easy," Hyunwoo said in that calm voice. "I'm here to help." He moved closer, watching for signals. The creature's antennae were twitching rapidly. Its tail was curled defensively. Not aggression, anxiety. Then Hyunwoo noticed something. The temperature in the enclosure was standard for the station, but the hive worlds had extreme temperature variations. Maybe, "Hey Jin, can you lower the temperature in here by 10 degrees? A moment later, the enclosure's climate control adjusted. The creature's antennae stopped twitching so frantically. Its body posture relaxed slightly. "It was too warm," Hyunwoo said. "It couldn't tell us, so it just showed distress. We need to research the specific environmental needs of each species better." Velthar watched in wonder as Hyunwoo slowly approached the now calmer creature. He extended his hand, and after a moment of hesitation, the creature allowed him to touch its carapace. "They're not monsters," she whispered. "They're just animals trying to survive. All this time, we blamed them for the destruction they caused. But maybe they were just looking for the right temperature, the right food, the right environment, and we never asked." Over the next few days, the Institute's work expanded rapidly. More human trainers arrived from Earth, each bringing expertise in different types of animals. Mi Young, a coordinator who had worked with wildlife sanctuaries on Earth, helped establish protocols for animal welfare across different species. The aliens were eager students. A warrior from Krath's people, a reptilian named Bong Su, spent hours learning to interact with predators from his homeworld. He had spent years hunting them. Now he was learning to understand them. "I killed 17 of these creatures," Bong Su said, watching a massive lizard-like predator through the observation window. "I thought I was protecting my people, but I never tried to understand why they came near our settlements." "And now?" Hyunwoo asked. "Now I see they were just looking for water. Our settlements were built near the only water sources in the region. We could have shared. Instead, we destroyed them." There were failures too. Not every species was ready to change their thinking. Some aliens refused to participate, clinging to old fears. Some creatures were too traumatized by their treatment to trust anyone, even gentle humans. But slowly, the success stories grew. An avian researcher from Thessa's world managed to calm a flying predator that had been feared for centuries. A crystalline being formed a bond with a creature made of living energy. Even Sentinel Krath, recovered from his injuries, requested to attend training sessions. "I want to understand," he said to Hyunwoo during one session. "What I did to the Void Hunter was wrong. I see that now. I want to learn the right way." 1 month after the Institute opened, Council Prime Thess called a special assembly session. Representatives from all 47 member species attended, along with the humans who had made it all possible. "The Cross-Species Relations Institute has exceeded all expectations," Thess announced. "We have learned more about our own planet's fauna in 1 month than in centuries of observation. But more importantly, we have learned something about ourselves." She looked at Hyunwoo. "Humans have shown us that intelligence comes in many forms. We prided ourselves on our technology, our computing power, our ability to reshape worlds. But we failed to develop emotional intelligence, the wisdom to understand beings different from ourselves." Ambassador Velthar stood. "I propose that humanity be granted a permanent advisory position on the Council, not just for animal relations, but for all matters requiring empathy and understanding between species." The vote was unanimous. After the session, Jiwoo found Hyunwoo in Grimm's enclosure. The Void Hunter was lying down while Hyunwoo scratched behind its sensory organs. The creature's rumbling purr echoed through the space. "Earth Command wants you to come home," Jiwoo said. "They want to honor you, parades, medals, the whole thing." "What did you tell them?" "That you're busy teaching the galaxy how to be kind." Jiwoo sat down beside him. "Are you happy? This wasn't what we signed up for. We were supposed to observe, maybe make some diplomatic connections. Now you're running an interspecies training program." Hyunwoo smiled. "Remember when I studied xenobiology? Before I became a diplomat? I spent years learning about alien life, dreaming about the day I might meet another species. I wanted to understand them, help them, bridge the gap between different forms of life. And now you are. Now I am, he agreed. This is bigger than I ever imagined. The Assembly has resources, reach, influence across the galaxy. If we can teach them to approach all life with compassion, think about what that could mean. How many species might be saved from extinction? How many conflicts avoided? Grim rumbled and shifted closer, resting its massive head on Hyunwoo's lap. Jiwoo laughed. Who would have thought the most dangerous predator in the galaxy would turn into such a softie? Grim was always a softie, Hyunwoo said. Everyone just saw the scary parts and never looked deeper. A message arrived on Hyunwoo's communicator. It was from the Outer Territories. A newly discovered species had made contact with the Assembly. They had creatures on their worlds that even they feared to approach. They had heard about the human who could pet apex predators, and they wanted to meet him. Looks like our work is just beginning, Hyunwoo said. Jiwoo stood and offered him a hand up. Then we'd better get ready. The galaxy is big, and there are a lot of scared animals out there that need someone to show them kindness. Hyunwoo took her hand and stood. Grim rose with him, towering over them both but gentle as a lamb. Together, the three of them walked out of the enclosure, ready for whatever came next. Behind them, in cages that were really habitats, in restraints that were really safety measures, in fear that was slowly becoming understanding, the creatures of 1,000 worlds waited. And for the first time in their lives, they had hoped that someone might finally see them not as monsters, but as what they truly were. Living beings. Just trying to survive in a vast and often frightening universe. Just like everyone else. 3 months had transformed the Assembly in ways no one had predicted. The Cross-Species Relations Institute had expanded to include facilities on 17 different worlds. What started with one human petting one predator had become a movement that was changing how the galaxy thought about life itself. Hyunwoo stood in the Institute's main observation deck, looking out at the training grounds below. Dozens of aliens worked with creatures from their homeworlds, using techniques that humans had practiced for thousands of years. Patience, respect, understanding. Jin approached with a data pad. The graduation ceremony is ready. We have 34 students completing the basic program today, more than we expected. Any issues? 1. Bong-soo requested to speak during the ceremony. He wants to share his story. Hyunwoo smiled. The reptilian warrior had become one of their best students. His transformation from hunter to protector had been remarkable. Let him speak. His story will inspire others. The graduation ceremony took place in the Assembly's Grand Hall, the same place where Hyunwoo had first seen Grim in a cage. Now the hall was filled with creatures moving freely among the gathered aliens. A massive 6-headed serpent coiled peacefully near its bonded crystalline partner. Flying predators perched on special stands, calm and content. Even a few void hunters were present, though only Grim had fully bonded with anyone. Council Prime Thess opened the ceremony with a speech about transformation and growth. We measured ourselves by our ability to conquer nature, she said. We built walls to keep out predators. We destroyed what we feared. We called it civilization. But the humans showed us that true civilization means living in harmony with all life. Ambassador Velthar spoke next. My people have a saying, the strongest walls protect the wisest hearts. We built those walls against our world's creatures, but they also walled us off from understanding, from growth. Humans taught us to tear down those walls and build bridges instead. Then Bong-soo stepped forward. The reptilian warrior looked different now. He still carried himself with strength, but there was softness in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Beside him walked one of the massive predators from his world, moving calmly at his side. I killed these creatures for 20 years, Bong-soo said, his voice steady. I thought I was protecting my people. I thought I was brave, but I was just scared. Scared of what I didn't understand. Scared of things that were different from me. He placed a hand on the predator's scaled head. The creature leaned into his touch. Humans taught me something. They taught me that bravery isn't about destroying what scares you. Real bravery is reaching out to what scares you and trying to understand it. These creatures aren't monsters. They never were. They're just trying to live, like all of us. The hall was silent. Many of the alien students had tears running down their faces, or their species equivalent. I can't bring back the 17 I killed, Bongsu continued, but I can honor them by protecting their kind now. By teaching others what I learned. By making sure no more die because of fear and ignorance. The applause that followed was thunderous. After the ceremony, Jiwoo found Hyunwoo in Grimm's habitat. The Void Hunter had a permanent home now, a large space that mimicked the dark forests of Kalith 9. Hyunwoo often came here when he needed to think. You missed the reception, Jiwoo said, sitting beside him. I know, I just needed some quiet. Grimm rumbled and nuzzled against Hyunwoo's shoulder. The gesture was affectionate, almost playful. Hard to believe this was the same creature that had terrified an entire galaxy. What are you thinking about? Jiwoo asked. Earth, home. We've been here for months now. Part of me wonders if we should go back. Do you want to? Hyunwoo considered the question. I don't know. What we're doing here is important, but I miss trees. Real rain. The smell of the ocean. The assembly won't let you go easily, Jiwoo said. You've become kind of a big deal. I just petted an animal. You changed how the galaxy thinks. Jiwoo gestured to the world beyond the habitat. Students from 47 different species are learning to show compassion. Creatures that would have been exterminated are now protected. You started all of that. Before Hyunwoo could respond, Myung's voice came through their communicators. Sorry to interrupt, but we have visitors. The species from the outer territories. They just arrived. The visitors were unlike any species in the assembly. They called themselves the Lumini, and they glowed with a soft inner light. Their leader, who gave her name as Sunhee, spoke through a translator that converted her light pulses into words. We have traveled far to meet the human who speaks to predators, Sunhee said. Our worlds are beautiful but dangerous. We have creatures that hunt us, kill us, drive us from our homes. We have fought them for generations. But fighting hasn't worked. We thought perhaps there was another way. Hyunwoo met with the Lumine delegation in a conference room. Jiwoo and several other trainers joined them. Tell me about these creatures, Hyunwoo said. Sunhee displayed holographic images. The creatures were massive, flowing things that looked like living shadows. They moved through walls, phased through solid matter, and could drain the light energy that the Lumine needed to survive. We call them void shadows, Sunhee explained. They are our nightmares made real. For 10,000 years, we have tried to destroy them, but they cannot be killed. They simply reform. So we hide. We live in fear. We thought perhaps you could help us learn to coexist. Hyunwoo studied the images carefully. The void shadows were fascinating. Energy beings that existed partially outside normal space. No wonder conventional weapons didn't work. These aren't predators, he said after a long moment. Look at their behavior patterns. They're not hunting you. They're attracted to your light. You're the brightest things on your worlds. They're drawn to that light the way moths are drawn to flames on Earth. Moths? Sunhee asked. Jiwoo pulled up an image of Earth insects. Small creatures that fly toward light sources. They're not trying to hurt the light. They're just following their instincts. But sometimes following instincts leads them into danger. You think the void shadows are like these moths? I think they're energy beings that are naturally attracted to energy sources, Hyunwoo said. Your people glow. Of course they come near you. But that doesn't mean they want to hurt you. They might just be curious, or seeking warmth, or any number of reasons that have nothing to do with aggression. Sunhee's light flickered in what might have been surprise. We never considered that. We assumed they were hunting us. That's a natural assumption, Hyunwoo said gently. When something scary comes toward you, you think it means harm. But intention matters. Understanding intention is the first step to coexistence. Over the next weeks, the Institute began working with the Lumine. It was challenging. The void shadows were fundamentally different from any creature they had studied. But slowly, patterns emerged. The void shadows weren't aggressive. They were curious. They approached the Lumini because the light fascinated them, not because they wanted to drain it. When Lumini panicked and tried to flee, their light brightened with fear, attracting more void shadows. It was a cycle of fear, feeding fear. Hyunwoo worked with Sun Hee personally. On Earth we have a saying, fear attracts the thing we fear. When you run, you trigger their chase instinct. When you fight, you trigger their defense response. But when you stay calm, he demonstrated with Grimm. The Void Hunter approached, massive and imposing. An alien who didn't know better would run, but Hyunwoo stood still, calm, radiating peace. Grimm simply sniffed him and moved on. You control your response, not theirs, Hyunwoo explained. You can't make them do anything, but you can choose how you react, and often, they'll mirror that calm back to you. Sun Hee practiced the technique. The first time a void shadow approached her, she fought every instinct to run. She dimmed her light slightly, reducing the attraction. She stayed calm. And the void shadow simply passed by her, its curiosity satisfied. She wept with joy. 10,000 years, she whispered. 10,000 years of fear. And the answer was to just be calm. It's not easy, Jiwoo said, putting a comforting hand on Sun Hee's shoulder. Being calm when you're scared is one of the hardest things any being can do. But it gets easier with practice. The success with the Luminae spread throughout the assembly. More species came forward with their own monster problems. Each one required different approaches, different understanding, but the core principle remained the same. Fear could be overcome with patience and empathy. 6 months after that first moment in the arena, the Institute held a special exhibition. Not like the old century exhibition with caged creatures and demonstrations of control. This was different. The exhibition showed partnerships, bonds, understanding, aliens and creatures working together, living together, existing in harmony. It was beautiful. Hyunwoo stood with Jiwoo and Grimm, watching the crowds move through the displays. Children of a dozen species played near creatures that their parents had feared. Scientists studied animals they had once destroyed. Warriors protected beasts they had once hunted. We did it, Jiwoo said softly. We actually changed things. We started it, Hyunwoo corrected. But this is bigger than us now. Look at them. They're teaching each other, learning from each other. We don't need to hold their hands anymore. A message arrived on his communicator. Admiral Yeon-soo from Earth Command. Hyunwoo, we have a situation. Several more species have requested admission to the assembly. They heard about the Institute. They want to learn these techniques. Earth needs more trainers, more teachers. We need you to come home and help organize a proper training program. Hyunwoo looked at Jiwoo. What do you think? I think Earth needs us, she said. But the galaxy needs us too. We can't be in both places. No, but we can train others to carry on the work. Jiwoo smiled. That's what good teachers do, right? They make themselves unnecessary by creating more teachers. That night, Hyunwoo made his decision. He would return to Earth to establish a formal training program. The best animal behaviorists, psychologists, and xenobiologists from Earth would learn the techniques that had worked here. Then they would spread throughout the galaxy, teaching others. The assembly would continue the institute without him. Haejin would take over as director. Mi Young would handle coordination. The alien students who had graduated would become teachers themselves. The work would continue. On his last day at the station, Hyunwoo visited Grimm one final time. The Void Hunter seemed to sense something was different. It pressed close to Hyunwoo, rumbling sadly. I have to go, Hyunwoo said, stroking Grimm's head. But you'll be okay. Haejin will take care of you. And you have important work to do here. You're proof that even the scariest things can be gentle. Don't forget that. Grimm rumbled again, then did something unexpected. It gently touched Hyunwoo's face with one massive claw. The gesture was tender, careful not to hurt. A goodbye. As the ESS Harmony departed from the station, Hyunwoo watched through the observation window. The Grand Assembly Station grew smaller in the distance, but its lights shone brighter than ever. Lights of hope, of change, of a galaxy learning to choose understanding over fear. Do you think it will last? Jiwoo asked. Or will they go back to the old ways once we're gone? Hyunwoo thought about Bong-su the warrior, now a teacher. About Sun-hee the Lumine, walking peacefully among void shadows. About Ambassador Velthar, who had once thought humans were primitive and now advocated for empathy in council sessions. About thousands of students learning to see the being behind the fear. It will last, he said with certainty. Because we didn't just teach them techniques. We taught them to see differently, to think differently. That's not something you can unlearn. What happens now? Now we go home. We train more people. We help Earth prepare for a galaxy that's finally ready to meet us as equals. And we remember that the biggest changes often start with the smallest gestures. Like petting an apex predator. Hyunwoo laughed. Like petting an apex predator. The harmony accelerated toward Earth, carrying two humans who had changed the galaxy simply by showing kindness to a frightened creature. Behind them, the assembly learned and grew. Ahead of them, Earth waited to join the great work of teaching the cosmos that strength came in many forms, and that sometimes the bravest thing anyone could do was reach out in friendship to what scared them most. In his habitat on the station, Grim the Void Hunter watched the ship disappear into the stars. The creature rumbled softly, then turned to where He-jin waited with treats and gentle words. Life would go on. The work would continue. And somewhere in the galaxy, another species would encounter another monster and remember the human who taught them to look deeper, to see past fear. To find the connection that existed between all living things, no matter how different they seemed. That was humanity's gift to the stars. Not technology, not weapons, not conquest, but compassion. And in the end, that proved to be the most powerful force in the universe.